I'm going to flip-flop a couple things around here.
Does it show up on your settings?
Yeah, it does, but I'm not seeing
live.
power. I'm going to try a different USB. That's weird. Still not working.
Try and reboot.
The whole thing?
Reboot your computer, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that could take a while. See you at 10.
I've been there.
Oh my goodness. What the heck?
I've been there.
We get a nice picture of him when he talks.
That's true. It might be a better picture, actually.
Studio? The heck is that?
Let's see.
Hi guys.
There's Kim.
Hey, Kim.
Girl.
Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
Kim.
Hi. Hey, Ray.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you, Kim.
Hey, it's nice to meet you too. What a cool thing you do. That's for sure.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Oh,
me
you're
on.
welcome. Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We always do, don't we, guys?
So what's going on in Atlanta?
Hot. It was like 80 degrees today. It was absolutely incredible.
There's
It was
Matt.
There we go.
beautiful. Hey, Matt.
Sweet. Hey, how you doing, Kim?
Nice.
Had the shorts on today, t-shirt. It was awesome.
Oh, beautiful.
It was 80 up this way yesterday.
Now, where
Yeah.
are you? Where are you located right now?
Chalfont, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Just
okay.
north of Philly. Yeah.
Gosh, that's ridiculous.
We had
Oh,
our
well.
one summer day.
Yeah,
And now
there
it's
you
all
go.
gone.
Yeah, we did
doesn't take
yesterday. It was a
long.
good day for us too. And I was just talking to MJ, and what are you guys expecting? 10 to 12 inches? What?
Over the next 2 days, yes. Or next
yeah.
3 days, I guess.
Oh well, you never say never down here either,
No.
because we've had snow in March, so it's not over yet. But
You never say never?
you never say never.
Never?
I know. You're already starting, Matt.
They
Okay.
had thunder sleet out in Oklahoma today.
Wow.
Oh, that's
That
cool.
was
I did hear
crazy.
about that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. And
All right.
Ray, I hate to ask,
Go ahead.
is your name pronounced Leichner?
Leichner.
Leichner. I'm glad I asked. Thank you. Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Like,
Leichner. Leichner. Got it.
By the
Okay,
way,
cool.
hey, Ray, how's it going?
Hey, good evening. How you doing?
by the way, there's the real Maz.
Yeah.
It's the fatter Maz. You know.
That's like Fat Elvis. It's like, that's the Las
Wait a
Vegas.
second. I don't know if I should be laughing as hard as I am.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
It's like the Las
what-
Vegas years. Yes.
What happened to Sander tonight?
He had, because he works for the news. I think it's KOCO, KOCO, Channel 4, something like that in Oklahoma City.
In Oklahoma.
And they've had him out because of some of the kind of winterish weather they've been getting and sleeting, and which sucks because that's not when you want to be out driving around. Is when roads are slick and you're getting sleet and that kind of crap. But
no fun.
so he's been out, and and that's this time of year that'll be Santa will probably be a hit or miss.
Okay.
Depending on if that particular Thursday, if they're getting any weather, he'll have to be out. So
It'll be
they're never going to
game time decision, right?
Yeah.
They're never going to call you and say, "Hey, it's a really beautiful day. Will you go out and do some live shots?"
True. That's right.
Sure.
What you'll never hear when you're a contracted storm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So what? Just a couple. I don't know what I was saying.
You'll get there.
I was going to mention with everybody on, but now we're short Brady and we're short Sander. But I just had a comment in the email about everybody's kind of been jumping on more so than in the past, and which is good to some. No, not really, because I guess my point is I just wanted everybody to be aware of it. I don't know if you guys listen to the show after we've actually edited it and recorded it and everything, but I do, and
we lived it.
That's true. I do, because I'm trying to get better. I'll just say that.
Was that a slam?
Was that?
Wow.
No, and so I've noticed that I think everybody's getting even more and more comfortable, which is good, and I want that. But there are times now, like when everyone's kind of jumping in, and so there's only 4 of us tonight with Ray. So I'm not as concerned about it as when we have 6 of us on at any given time.
Tonight, dead air will be our.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to mute. Here we go.
I'll try and be as quiet as possible.
No.
Anything at all. So
Yeah, you'll be the one doing most of the talking.
right.
But I just wanted everyone to just be aware of it, to not be just totally jumping in all the time, because it gets really hard when you're the listener to kind of really understand, because it's.
Hold it. Who do you think
bunch of
he's
ones.
talking to in this one, right?
This is
MJ, stop jumping in.
Yeah, I'm
That's right.
sorry. I talk so much.
Definitely MJ. No, it's gotten to the point where it's everybody. And so that's why I wanted to bring it up. Just make sure you're aware when are you talking or saying something or making a comment or whatever it is, because if everyone's doing it after someone says something, then it gets hard. But the point is I like our poker table atmosphere. So I don't want to change that. I just want people to be aware. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
You just gave us a huge
Don't
finger. Did you
explain
notice that?
He sure did.
Oh,
I feel
Now I'm
like
giving you 2.
wow.
I feel like I should step away for a minute.
Yeah,
you're good.
A coaching
You're
session.
all part of the family.
It's a coaching
Right?
session. I'd see you guys.
Our
gotta
guests
go.
are always part of the family.
Yes, they are.
All right, so mute your phones. If you need to, Ray, this is for you. If you need to mute your mic for any reason, if you move your cursor, top of the screen will show up a little menu. There's an option there to turn your mic off. Just remember to turn it back on when you're ready to talk if you need to.
Right.
Otherwise, for you, probably don't need to worry about it unless there's dog shows up in the background or something like that.
Yeah.
Everybody's head looks good, top of the screen, so we're not going to cut anybody off. If you get knocked off by any chance, just go ahead and reconnect to the link that we gave you. We'll just jump right back on. So any questions, Ray, from you?
No, ready to roll.
Good.
All
Rest
righty.
you
Let's
guys
rock
good?
and roll.
Sweet.
Alrighty.
Let's do this. All right, so we'll do the opening. We've got our little Danner Boots plug. I'm going to talk about Weather Podcast Month that starts next month. We'll do our happy hour. And Ray, you're joining us, correct? So I can see what you're drinking tonight, correct?
I don't know.
Okay, good. And then I'll turn it over. I'll turn it over to Kim. Kim will do your formal introduction and start the questions off. Then we'll jump to lightning round and then take our first break. Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Let's roll. And hey, hi to everybody watching us live on YouTube.
Hey, folks.
Thanks for joining
Everybody.
us tonight. If you're at home, go grab your drink if you don't have it already.
I got mine.
If you're watching us at work,
Right here.
just keep the volume down.
That's right. Yeah.
That's all.
Mhm. All right.
All right, we ready?
We're ready.
Let's roll.
All right, here we go. Phil's on in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. That's brought to you by Danner Boots. And I'm telling you, if you're a spotter, a chaser, or even a TV meteorologist and you're out in the field, you got to check this out from Danner Boots. The Classic is still available today. Every boot is handmade and holds up to unforgiving conditions, and they live up to the unyielding standards that they have. The future is strong with Danner Boots and their Stronghold work boot. Check it out. So, hey, if you're a first-time listener, thanks for checking us out. Be sure to go to stormfrontfreaks.com and check out our library of previous shows and guests. But this is episode 47 of season 3.0, and we've got drone storm chaser Ray Leichner is with us tonight.
Yay! Woo!
Thank you.
Is he just going to
welcome.
drone on and on? Or what?
I am. This is going to be one boring hour.
Don't say that. We're just getting started. Hey, and we'll also be discussing the observed increase in age of weather spotters and if they're on their way of becoming extinct or not.
Hey, now.
Don't forget. Well, I'm just saying. We'll talk about this. But stick around for this episode's WX resources, and you can also find out later on who made our weather fools. I want everybody to know this is National Weather Podcast Month is approaching its second year, coming up here in March. They've introduced a web page. You can now go to weatherpodcastmonth.com, and they have a Twitter account at WX Podcast Month. You can check any of those out. Follow them on Twitter. Bookmark the website for the special schedule of shows that are coming up in March, and all the information from the 9 participating podcasts, including us. So there's more to come, but this will be an exciting month of March if you're a fan of weather podcasts. Let's go ahead and introduce our team. It is happy hour now, and if you're listening to us later, it'll be happy hour then. But the best way to introduce our co-hosts and let everybody know we're kind of having fun is to find out what everybody's drinking tonight. So MJ is back with us.
Here I am.
Hey, MJ.
Taking a show off. He's our Skywarn net coordinator up in Minnesota.
Good evening.
Besides the snow, what do you got going on?
Well, a little bit of snow tonight. That's the way it goes. I'm not feeling perfect tonight, so I'm not having as much fun. And but I'm drinking Coca-Cola straight up because that usually does a little bit for me. So that's what I got tonight.
Cleans out those nasal passages pretty good.
Correct.
I heard straight whiskey could do the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's tomorrow night.
Just the doctor saying that. All right, Maz is our former TV meteorologist in Cincinnati. Maz, good evening. What are you drinking?
Inside of my extra pale ale 420.
All right.
From
Georgia.
the Sweetwater.
Mm-hmm.
My Uncle Charlie from Minnesota, from Albert Lee, Minnesota. I was talking to him about an hour. He goes, "Did you know today is National Margarita Day?"
That's
What?
right.
So I got a margarita.
No.
I did
not
a pale
know
ale
that.
tonight.
It is. It is.
You know what?
Oh.
It's really cold too. I'm just saying, man.
Well, happy Cinco de Mayo Margarita Day, I guess.
Right.
Mm.
back
I've
at
got,
it.
so if I had known that, I definitely would have gotten a margarita. It's funny how I always miss out on what day it is. I find out at the end of the day that it was National Donut Day or it was National
I never miss that.
something.
It's better for your health. So,
That's
okay.
true. And on that note, I'm drinking a Diet Dew and pecan pie vodka,
Oh,
there you go.
which is
That's
Nice.
different.
it is different. Yeah, that's true.
I
It is
can't even
that.
picture that.
It's a
Mountain
drink.
Dew and pecan pie.
Yeah, hey, it's
Pecan or
just sugar.
Pecan.
Oh, wow.
Pecan.
Or
Pecan pie.
Pecan.
Pecan pie. That's what I've got. Kim,
Yes.
our former Weather Channel met in Atlanta. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, you'll be shocked when I
I'm
tell
sure
you
we
this.
will.
I'm drinking a Lagunitas IPA, and it's called Maximus. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Nice.
This is really good. It's
Wow.
very good. And I'm drinking it out of a Georgia Dogs pint glass.
There you go.
Yeah.
There
Go
you go.
dogs.
All right. That's cool. It's really good.
Maximus.
Very good. Yes.
Wasn't that the name of the guy from Gladiator?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
Gladiator.
My favorite movies.
That is a good
One of
movie.
them, anyway. Awesome.
Good
Yeah.
movie. All right. And then I understand our guest, Ray, is joining us out of the green room and having something. Ray, what are you drinking tonight, sir?
I am drinking Landshark Lager.
Ooh.
Nothing
All
fancy,
right.
nothing too crazy. No IPAs tonight. I wouldn't be able to make it the hour. Or drink
And
the
you-
That's the
IPAs.
only way I can.
You're missing those 80-degree days you were getting
I
yesterday. weren't
really
you?
am. I really am. Yesterday was a margarita day for sure.
Every day.
Uh,
Every day.
That's
is a
true.
margarita.
That's true.
All right, let's get to your formal introduction. Kim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. We are welcoming Ray Leichner. He is a drone storm chaser. Now, Ray's love of storm started at a very young age. 12 years old. You're like me, Ray. He was using his dad's camcorder to document thunderstorms in his backyard. Now, to date, Ray's aerial photography has been featured on the Weather Channel, Weather Nation, CBS, NBC, ABC News, Fox News, and most recently, the Washington Post. Now, Ray was approached by Eastern Pennsylvania Weather Authority in the spring of 2017 to be a contributor by producing live feeds of severe weather via the drone, giving his audience storm reports as it occurs. So valuable for sure. Now, Ray flies a DJI Phantom 3 and Phantom 4 currently. And, Ray, I was really excited to talk to you because I thought this this is where we're headed. This is the future. We are here with these drones. It's just incredible. But how did you go from a camcorder to all of a sudden go, you know what? I'm going to take a drone and fly it into a storm. How did that happen?
Well, there's a story behind that. So up until about 3 years ago, I was just using my phone camera to take lightning pictures and chasing storms with it. My wife happened to mention probably about this time 3 years ago, hey, with all the drone things going on and this is becoming a big deal, why don't you get a drone and try doing the same thing but with a drone? I said, that's a good idea. Sure, why not? So 3 years ago, she bought me my first drone, and this is it.
Oh,
Little toy drone that I started with, and started with that. That's not the original one. This is actually the third one I've had because 2 of them blew away. But I practiced. I practiced some more and then moved up. So I got the Dji Phantom 3. Crashed that a few times. Obviously, flying in thunderstorms takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience. So I have to attribute it to my wife, Robin, giving me the idea. And my daughter Olivia comes out storm chasing with me, so she's my little storm chaser.
Does
that's awesome.
Does your wife get a finder's fee or something for that, for giving you the idea?
I don't know. She's an amazing cook too, so I owe her quite a bit. So that's how that started.
Wow. So before that, were you a photographer before that, or a videographer and, making money off of before the drones?
No, actually,
okay.
I was just doing it as a hobby and, to a point I still am.
Okay.
It really, I'm just getting started with the drone aspect of things, although I've been flying for 3 years. Last spring, Bobby Martrich from Eastern PA Weather Authority has seen my pictures on Twitter. Asked me to be a contributor on his page. So that meant going live on his Facebook page. Now, he has a business. He's got about 260,000 followers. So when I go live, a lot of people see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot of practice and, really, going live for the first time, trying to answer questions and keep a drone in the air can be difficult. But right now, I'm still a contributor there. Not really pulling an income from it now. I'm talking to a few people about licensing my videos.
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm still in the hobby end of it. But again, this is just the beginning for drones in general. Really, not to add this cliche here, but the sky's the limit with the drones at this point. So I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that bad.
There you go.
That bad statement there.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Ray, did you have to get good fast? Because the Phantom 3 and 4, those things are not cheap. They're over $1,000.
The Phantom 3 was 500, and I would go out in everything: sunrises, sunsets, windy days, just every day possible, just to get practice in doing so. I remember the first time I flew in a severe storm with the Phantom 3, thinking, "Oh, this thing can fly itself." Well, no, I went to take off, and a gust front came through. And no, it doesn't fly itself. It blew right back into my wife's car. So I was able to repair it, get back up in the air, but it took a lot of practice, a lot of patience. I'm nowhere near perfect, with doing this, but I mean, it takes a lot of practice. And really, to anyone that wants to try this, you got to have patience, and you got to know you may lose your drone or crash it, every time you go up. So, but it's been a lot of fun. It's an addiction. I love doing it.
So what kind of, tell us a little bit about the drones that you've got, Ray, what it is you like about those? Cause I know there's different varieties out there on the market. So what do you like about what you have? And I guess, what would you recommend, to other people, or if I'm just getting started? So tell us what you like about what you have and what else.
Absolutely. So like I had mentioned, if you're just getting started in drone photography, I would start out with quote unquote toy drones. Don't spend a lot of money when you're first starting out. Learn to fly with a toy drone. These toy drones, there's no GPS hold on them. There's nothing. You fly it. You manually fly it all the time. You control everything. So if the wind takes it, you got to bring it back. Learn to fly that way first. Then your next step up would be the DJI Phantom 3, which what I like about that, it's a very dependable drone. I haven't had any issues with it. I've flown it in rain, snow, sleet, the whole 9 yards. We had a snowstorm this past week. I came down with it. It was encased in snow. So the dependability is there. That's a good starter drone. It's not going to go as far as the other drones, but it's really a good starting point.
But what's far? I guess as you talk about that, what's far? So
far, the Phantom 3, I would say on a good day could get about a quarter mile away. And it really, it's built that way for a reason. There's a Wi-Fi camera, and the connection, is a little less on that particular drone. You still get, you don't get the 4K images that you do with the Phantom 4 or the Phantom 4 Pro, but you still get the 1080p video. You still get the great, the great still shots. So there's a lot of options there to just get it started. And I still use it to this day. I mean, it's built to last, and God knows I've crashed it many times, and it takes a licking and keeps on ticking. So, awesome. I enjoy it. It was my starter drone, and it really handles well.
Have you had a situation where you lose signal because it gets, I don't know if the wind takes it or whatever? Does one of them have that GPS where it sends it back to where it started?
It does. However, there's a compass law. You can get a compass error, okay, where the drone just loses orientation. And when you get that, you're pretty much on your own. You got to fly the thing. You got to know where it's at. Left becomes right, right becomes left. And that has only happened to me about twice in 3 years, but it's not a situation you want to be in. So really making sure that you do the pre-flight checklist, making sure it's calibrated correctly. It will come back to you if it loses connection with the RC controller. So once that connection is lost, it will automatically do a return to home and land where you took off on both the DJI Phantom 3 and the Phantom 4.
So give us an idea what. So I've got two questions. First one, Ray, is going to be, give me what's the best thing that you've created or seen so far from a storm standpoint that you're like, oh, I got it, sweet. Tell us about that and what that was like.
So this, the one that I'm going to describe, and I'll show you a picture of it too. This was last year. Actually, it was. I don't know how good you can see that.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, that's.
But awesome. That was a shelf cloud that rolled through Bucks County last year, and that was one that I was actually live on Eastern PA Weather Authority for. That was probably the most difficult flight that I've had with the drone, in the sense that I push it to the limit. That was about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes before the actual shelf cloud passed through, and then you get the winds behind it. Yeah. I pushed it to the limit to where the rain shaft was on top of me and the winds were kicking. I was flying the DJI Phantom 4 during that storm. I got that shot and other ones, and it was I pushed the limit on altitude with that also during a storm. You're supposed to only go about 400 feet with the drone. For a few seconds, I was up to about 530, 540 just to get that shot, and brought it back down. The wind started taking it. And one of the features about the DJI Phantom 4 is it has sport mode. So you kick it in the sport mode. The top speed of it is about 45 miles an hour.
Wow.
I was able to get it back using sport mode. If it weren't for that, that would have been it. So, but to date, that's the shot, and I just got it last year. So. Okay.
All right. So then the second part of the question is, obviously with flying drones, you've already talked about several weather fools moments. So give me an idea. What's the most memorable situation where you thought, I shouldn't have tried flying it then or there?
Yeah, and I was trying to get a sunset picture. This was after a cold front came through about 2 years ago, and I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna go out and just catch a sunset. So it's really cool with the cold front passing through. So I go out, and I wasn't paying attention to the weather much. Well, that front came through, and the wind, I think I clocked the wind on the ground at 45 miles an hour, and I was up there about 300 feet. Well, that gust of wind came through. I looked down at my controller, and the drone was 900 feet away from me and still going.
Wow.
And it just kept going and going, and I couldn't stop it. So I lowered my altitude. I prayed, I clenched, and just brought it back. Just tried to keep it level, and I was able to get it back. But that was one of those times where you really need to pay attention to what the weather's doing around you, and that was my learning experience. The one time I don't pay attention to what's going on with the weather is when you're going to have accidents, is when you're going to make mistakes. So you have to be smart about it. You have to know what's going on around you.
So do you have like a repair kit, or have you ever thought of like building your own? Or
so I pulled the camera off of it. The camera sits on a gimbal. Most of the issues that come along with the drones are gimbal issues. The body, I have had to pull the body apart to snap it back into place. Just replacing the propellers and everything on it. Again, I've had a lot of luck with these drones, as I haven't had to repair much on them. I've crashed the Phantom 3 multiple times. I've replaced the wings or the props on them, but other than that, that's about it. I've been very lucky. You're going to pay more for these drones, but you get what you pay for. So
once you Ray, once you get your footage, your video footage or anything, what are you doing anything to edit that, or are you just raw sending that out or posting it on YouTube? Or
everything's raw. The videos that I post are raw. I don't edit anything. Coming from me, I wanted, what you see is what you get. I wanted that real world feel to it. So every video that I post is unedited. The photos could be edited a little bit given the light. If I'm doing sunrises, sunsets, I do edit them a little bit, but all the videos are raw.
So Ray, you talked about, this right now is kind of a hobby. What do you see for you and your drones here in the future? And another question too, do you have nicknames for Phantom 3 and 4, or do you call them Phantom 3 and 4? Do they have names?
Oh man, okay. So I knew
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
opening up a can on this one?
So, I don't know.
Costello. Oh my God.
I'll randomly, nickname it. During the winter, the 3 will be Snowbird 1, and the 4 will be Snowbird 2. Just a way to make it cute, I guess. Yeah. But other than that, no. I'll show. I have the. This is the DJI Phantom 3, which,
wow.
I got the wraps on it and everything. And the Sirens project actually gave me a decal to put on it. They were on the Weather Channel a while back. They fly fixed wing aircraft to collect tornado data and everything. So they sent me a few things. And this is
nice.
The Phantom 4. So this is, I would guess, the upgraded version from the Phantom 3.
Is that made by Chevy? Is that a Chevrolet logo on the top there?
What's that? No, but close. It's DJI.
Oh, okay.
I don't put bumper stickers on them or anything. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. So,
here's my stick family.
Exactly. Yeah.
So no old girlfriend.
You're too close.
No old girlfriend names for him, so your wife doesn't get jealous. Or anything like that?
No. And if I did, she's watching right now. So no.
Ray's out in his backyard going, Snowbird 1. Come
in, Barbie.
I'm in the hot seat now. I think I got to break out the shot over here. So,
Yes.
so,
All right,
no,
so
Go ahead, Kim.
I was going to say future. What's the future look like?
Yeah, I was going to say.
right now, I mean, it's to be honest with you, my day job, I'm a banker. And so I'm a branch manager right now. But the way, I would love to go out and storm chase in Oklahoma. I've talked to Reed a few times. We're friends, on Facebook, just, giving me some ideas about, how to get involved with it and how to do it. That's my dream, to really get out there and, photograph. I mean, we get some great snowstorms around here, some big time thunderstorms, tornadoes. Yeah, they're few and far between aside from the random funnel cloud we'll get around here. So really, I mean, my dream is to get out there and do some, actual storm chasing. And, I got the okay from the wife to do that whenever I'm ready.
Nice.
But, that's where I see it going. But, again, I need to practice more. I got to keep flying in the worst weather around here and know that I can do it, every time without issue.
So is your wife okay with it? Honey, I'm going out and flying drones again.
Yeah, for the most part, she is. I asked if the life insurance is up to date before I go out in a lightning storm. So no, she's cool with it. She knows that's my passion. I mean, this is what it comes down to. I mean, when there's a thunderstorm or I'm glued to the Storm Prediction Center constantly during the spring and summertime, and it that's my season and that's my passion, and she sees that, and she loves that I have this passion for going out and doing this.
He's like, honey, Snowbird 1 just called. I gotta go.
It's probably best you don't name him as Barbie, right?
Right.
Say in line 1.
Say Ray. We've got a viewer question for you.
Yeah.
So they're asking if you're just starting out in professional drone chasing, are there licensing considerations that someone has to think about?
So in order to actually make a profit off of doing this, you would have to have your Part 107 certification, which is basically a written test that you have to take. A lot of it are weather questions, altitude questions, flight restrictions, how close to an airport you can fly. So yeah, if you wanted to pursue a career in it, you would have to go about getting the Part 107. And you can Google that wherever you're from, and they'll have test sites near you where you can actually go to take a test. There are manuals that you can go on Google and take a look at. Forget exactly which one I used, but what site, but there's a lot of them out there, fairly priced. You do have to study up a little on it.
And do you have to study up on weather? Like, meteorology 101 or something? I imagine going. I mean, don't you think, like, especially if you want to go out with hurricanes or tornadoes, maybe
smart to, yeah.
Oh,
so they kind of advise against doing that, going out during thunderstorms. That's one of the the no-nos. I'll put that out there right now. It really a lot of times I'll post my videos, especially in the snow. This winter has been it's been brutal with some of the comments I've been getting. About, don't you worry about snow building up on the drone. Don't you worry about it falling out of the sky. You're not allowed to fly during thunderstorms. You're higher than the 400 feet. So I understand the rules. I fly in open areas. So, it's you got to take some risks sometimes to, to make it. So
any of those tweets from the FAA, hey, you're over 400 feet, buddy.
No. If they're really concerned about some guy flying his drone in a lightning storm, be a little concerned. I put myself at risk, no one else. So
wow.
All right. Last question here before we move on, Ray. What and this is a little bit off of what Kim was talking about, not only what you see for the future for you, but I guess what are some of the other things you're seeing in the drone community as far as a future for drones and weather and severe and stuff?
Well, I don't see I don't see a lot of it quite yet. I did mention the Sirens project.
Mm-hmm.
They are working with the fixed wing drones, putting probes on them to send them into tornadoes. There's been some discussion around that. Logistically, with the drones that I fly, unless I catch an inflow with a probe on it and decide, hey, I'm going to lose this drone and let's send it out and see if the storm picks it up, it's not going to happen. There are, some larger drones out there. Most of them can't handle what tornadoes and, the rear flank downdrafts or inflows can throw at them. So you got to be at a pretty good distance away. I'm seeing a lot of people. I don't want to say seeing my stuff and getting involved with drones, but I'm getting a lot of questions about at what point during the storm do I go out? When's the best time to catch lightning? So it's right now it's at the beginning stages of what drones can do. I mean, up until this point, it's been landscapes and flying over rivers and getting those types of aerial views. I think that it's really going to take off now. You see a lot on the Weather Channel now, especially with the rescue and recovery efforts that they're doing after storms. I mean, it's they're a vital piece of equipment after a storm right now.
Yeah,
Good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Oh, that's
Well,
cool.
what? How can listeners find you, follow you on social media, see some of your videos, Ray?
Sure. So I'm on Twitter. You do @StormChaserRay, both on Twitter and Facebook. To search on that, I do have a YouTube page. Just search my name, Ray Leichner, and that's about it. So I'm on
Spell
YouTube,
that. Spell
Twitter.
Leichner for people.
That is Leichn as in Nancy ER.
I don't think that's right.
Wait a second.
Don't listen to
I
him.
think I only had one beer.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Fine.
Well,
We'll spell it how
right.
you
All
spell
right.
it.
It is time for our lightning round. So this is our game show of brilliant questions for our guests. We always invite everybody to play along. Tonight, we're bringing back a little family feud. And the challenge for you, Ray, is family feud. You're one family. So you're it. you're like the Leichner family. And then we have our co-hosts get to be the other family. But I will warn everybody in advance as I was putting this one together. I'm like, this is probably going to be the hardest one we've ever done.
No.
This is
Geez,
one.
great.
All right. So
Thanks for including me.
so good old family. So here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be the top 10 answers are on the board. This is the top 10 most amazing flying machines ever by space.com. So we got to come up with the top 10 most amazing flying machines ever. And what I'm going to do is, Ray, I'm going to go to you first, and then I'm going to go to my freaks. Whoever gets the highest one, then we'll have the choice of keeping it and trying to guess the rest of them before they get 3 strikes, or passing it and expecting the other group to come up with them before they get 3 strikes. If they don't, it turns over to the other group, and all they got to do is pick one of them that's still left on the board, and they win. Okay, good old family feud. So this is the top 10 most amazing flying machines ever. So these are, I'll let you know in advance, these are flying machines which include spacecraft. Okay, so think that and think historical. What's a historical, man? This really made a leap in our advancement of flying. Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Ray. Top 10 answers on the board. Give me one of the most amazing flying machines ever.
Oh my gosh.
God, it's hard already. We haven't even...
You know what? And I want to say the Challenger, but that didn't end well.
Well, don't give everybody a possibility of answers, right? Meaning, if you're playing Family Feud, don't go, I'd want to pick this, but no. I'd want to pick this one, but no, I won't pick that one. I want to pick
Challenger. I'm going to say
okay, Challenger.
I'm
going to say that is number 7 is the space shuttle.
Wow. Okay.
The space shuttle, reusable spacecraft, was number 7 on the list. I'm going to turn it over to the freaks. What do you guys think? One of you decide. You can talk, but one of you decides what you want to be.
How about like the Hindenburg or something?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All
Larger
right.
than air. Let's go
Hindenburg,
with that.
that's Zeppelins. Hindenburg, airships, blimps. That's number 3.
Wow.
All right. So, freaks, you guys can take it or you can pass.
Pass, I
Should
think.
pass it. We're spent.
All right. The ball is in your court, Ray. Number 3 and 7 are off the list. What's your next one?
So we got blimps. We got
Tick, tick, tick.
Can I pass?
No, you can't. Well, you can, but that's going to be a strike.
You can take an X.
And you got 2 more.
I don't know. Fixed wing aircraft.
Fixed wing air. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you
You're gonna
Red
give me a
Baron
gimme.
biplanes. So
Nice.
biplanes and triplanes from
Okay.
World War One. That's number 2 on the list. Was World War One biplanes and triplanes like the Red Baron. So all right, I'll give you that one. Keep thinking historical flying machines or spacecraft.
Tick tock.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna be
Is
playing
this
cricket.
still on me?
It's still
Yes,
on you.
still
Yeah,
on
you
you.
gotta,
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
come up with
Jeez.
all of them before 3 strikes.
Oh my god. So-
I don't think anybody's ever passed before.
I know. This is good TV, man.
This is good. It is.
brutal. This is brutal. That's what it is.
All
We
right.
have a blimp, hot air balloon.
Okay. Hot air
weather
balloon is hot air balloon is not on the list.
Oh,
So that's your first strike.
You got 2 more.
You get 2 more.
A helicopter.
Helicopter. Let me see. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you number 10 on the list is the V-22 Osprey.
Osprey.
The
Yeah.
The Osprey is the one
Yeah.
that can fly like a plane or can tilt
Oh,
its
all right.
wings and take
Very
off
cool.
like a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
So the helicopter airplane. So I'll give you that one. So still 1 strike. You still got number 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9 on the list. And they include a combination of different types of aircraft and different types of spacecraft.
Unmanned rockets. You don't have to give me a gimme.
Here's what I'm going to do. No, I'm giving you this one because the Saturn V rocket, even though it took the Apollo spacecraft to the moon, they had to test it at one point. So that was
At one point, it was unmanned.
that's right. So I'll give you number 6, the Saturn V rocket.
All right.
You're on a roll,
All
man.
right.
Keep going.
I almost don't want to be on a roll anymore. I'm running out of.
You're running out of ideas.
Think
Please.
spy plane.
Oh,
The
It's black.
You can't
the
see
oh,
it.
no stealth bomber.
okay. I'm giving you the SR-71 Blackbird. The
Yeah, there you go.
supersonic spy aircraft. That was number 5. That was number 5. Okay.
Jeez.
You're still missing number 1,
Oh, come on.
which is like the
It's probably
greatest.
the most obvious thing ever.
Pretty,
and I'm just
I would
not
say
thinking
yes.
about it.
It's
All right.
probably the biggest innovation in flight that we've ever had,
Ever.
known to man.
It's
Ever.
hot in here. Hot in here.
Like,
It
like,
really
like,
is hot in here.
prior to this, like I don't think we were even flying, to be honest with you.
The Wright brothers aircraft.
Oh,
That
that's
is-
number 1. Very
There you
good.
go.
Very good. All right. So we're down to 4, 8, and 9. You only have 3 left on the board. 2 of them have to deal with space, and 1 doesn't.
How many
So,
deal with space?
2 are deal with space. 1 is not a spacecraft.
Satellite.
No, that is your second strike. You
That's like
have,
2.5.
1 more.
Let's see.
There's something up there right now.
Uh-huh.
It's gotten pretty
Oh my
big
gosh,
over the years.
It's all over, right? It's everybody goes there.
Yes, it's like a party house from
Mhm.
all countries.
I have to go to a
Oh
gas
my God.
station later, maybe.
The International Space Station.
That is it. All right, very good. That's number 8. So we're down to 2, number 4 and number 9.
I'm done with space, right?
No, there's
more
one.
space.
One is still a spacecraft.
There's got to be some military jets in there or something.
We're still in space, aren't we? Okay.
One giant step.
National Space Station, the moon, the rover.
That the rover does not fly, and I'm going to call that your third star.
Yes. Okay, thank you. God, I'm off the hot seat.
You're off. All right, so freaks, we got number 4 and number 9 left. What do you guys think?
I guess
About the
Apollo.
Apollo,
I think Maz has some information.
No,
Yeah.
it's all up here.
I was thinking Concorde too, maybe, but
Yeah, maybe the Apollo.
but-
I don't know.
but I think go with that probably.
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Apollo.
answer?
Apollo.
Okay. That's a no. I'm going to say no only because we already talked about the Saturn rocket / Apollo spacecraft. That was
Oh crap!
the Apollo was the mission, but it flew on the Saturn rocket.
Oh,
Saturn
okay.
rocket is what got it to where it was going. So, all right. So, Ray, you win. Congratulations.
Nice.
You are our winner.
Well done.
Yay!
Thank you.
So do you
It's
want to
always
know
nice
what
when we
number
have
4 and 9 are?
Yes,
Anybody?
please.
Yes.
Is it
All right,
Hangul?
so number 4, I don't think anybody was ever going to get, but Kim was briefly mentioning it. If anybody would have said just jet, like first jet,
Yeah.
I would have given it to you. So the first fighter jet
Mhm.
was the ME-262 Schwalbe, which was a German World War II secret flying weapon. So, but it's
Wow.
Should have had
basically
that one.
Wow.
Should have had
the
that
first
one.
first
my tongue.
jet.
Yeah.
And number 9 correlates a little bit to what also just happened, and which could potentially be on here if this were the top 10 most amazing flying machines ever as of February 2018.
Tesla?
Because I think it was called the Viking ship that
Oh.
went up. Anyway, number 9 was Spaceship One, which was the first private spacecraft
Oh, okay.
to go up as well. So,
With a car on it.
well, no, not
Not that
that
one.
was recently. That was
Okay.
not the other one. All right. So anyway, great job, Ray. Thanks for playing
That's
along.
right.
Thank you. Thanks for the hints. Thanks for the hints.
You did pretty damn good. That was
maybe-
hard.
I thought maybe the drone was going to be one of them, but okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. No,
Yeah,
no.
that's too obvious. When he
That's
said it
too
was going to be
obvious.
hard, I wasn't going to fish with that.
Right.
All right, so we're going to take a short break. Our podcast listeners get to hear the latest edition of the Titans U Minute with Chris Sanner. We want you to stay right here. We'll be back to discuss if the National Weather Service storm spotter population is getting any younger, and what does that mean? Okay,
Cool.
well done, sir.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Good job, Ray.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the hints. It was a pleasure being here. You guys were awesome. Thank you. Thank
What
you so much.
hints? What are you talking about?
All right.
Ray, you must know the Rocky Mountain Flyers, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Didn't come to mind at the time though when you were
No,
asking.
shout. They're on the chat. They're on the chat watching. They somebody with that moniker is on the chat, and they said to say hi to you and so on.
Oh, okay. Hey guys. Oh wait,
Cool.
are we still live?
We
Yeah.
are.
Oh, yeah.
We are. All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's
To them, we are. Yeah,
If
we don't.
nobody has to. If nobody has to refill their drink,
We can get right started.
let's go ahead and get started. We'll get into the discussion. So we'll come back. So really, the discussion topic, I'm going to intro it with. I recently attended a spotter training course that we had again down in Hamilton County, which is covers Cincinnati, and I was like the youngest person there, and I'm not young, and so I'm curious. Now, this was briefly an observation, and I've looked and haven't seen any studies done, but I wonder if we've talked about before in one of the shows how the ham radio, amateur radio population is getting older and not younger. If the trained storm spotter population is kind of going maybe that same route, if it's getting older and not younger, and if they're not attracting younger people to become storm spotters, what's really happening, and is that really an issue? Maybe talk a little bit about. And again, I love being a storm spotter and everything else, but I might take the devil's advocate side to go, well, does it really matter if there's not a bunch of storm spotters out there? Is the National Weather Service still going to do their thing of looking at the radar and issuing warnings based
absolutely.
on
Mhm.
based
We'll
on
talk
what's
about
going on there?
Yeah.
But so that's how I'll set it up. We can talk about if that's a dying breed and whether or not that matters. Does that work?
Again, hey now.
Well, hey, I am. I mean, that's enough. Believe me. I think it makes a good discussion.
So, Phil, is that the first time how long have you been a storm spotter?
Oh gosh, I've been for 15, 20 years.
Oh goodness. So you for sure have seen.
I've never paid attention. I've never paid attention to it.
Yeah.
I just would go, and I typically go almost every year just to when you get to this time of year, and we can talk about it in the discussion. I think I don't want to waste talking about that. So yeah, we'll talk about it then.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
MJ, count me in.
All right, everybody, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I wanted to bring up for our discussion topic tonight, and obviously with having Ray on here tonight as well, is talk a little bit about some of the recent observations I've made with our storm spotting community. And, I was talking briefly, Kim, with you during our break, how long I've been a storm spotter. And I've been, 15, 20 years since I've been attending National Weather Service sponsored storm spotter training or weather spotter training. And I typically go every year because this time of year, when we get into the spring, right, you start getting the itch. I've commented before that it's like golf. When I used to play golf, in the spring, I'd always get that golf itch, like, I got to get out and play golf. And, I think I'd need new clubs so I can improve my game and all that kind of stuff. And
probably baby powder would help.
What?
Baby powder. Stop that itch, man. Get it right in there.
God, that was a stretch.
We
okay.
Derailed.
There you go.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit here. Anyway, so now I get that way when it comes to, spring, severe season, storm season. And I kind of start getting that itch like a lot of people do that love, weather and the storm season. So I typically will still go to a spotter training class just for the heck of it. It gives me a chance to meet some people. And I've met some new individuals that work at our National Weather Service office, field office in Wilmington, Ohio. But anyway, I was there this time, and there was probably at least 20, 25 people in attendance, which it wasn't huge, but for Hamilton County, Ohio, and this covers Cincinnati, Hamilton County is the third most populous county in Ohio.
Yeah.
And there were only 20, 25 people there, but I was probably the youngest one there, and I'm in my 40s. And it just kind of made me go, whoa. And I don't know if I've ever paid attention in the classes before as to how old people were, but I thought, wow, this is the population of storm spotters. Is it getting older? And does that mean that it's becoming extinct? And we mentioned on a previous show, we talked about amateur radio and ham radio operators, and there have been studies there showing that the population is getting older and it's shrinking. Is that the route we're going with storm spotters? And I guess the question to all of you is, if it is, does it really matter? I mean, is the National Weather Service going to have any serious issues if the weather and storm spotting population really starts to decrease?
So, first of all, hey now.
I'm just throwing that out there.
As you know, as you've said, I'm now the Skywarn network coordinator for Kanabec County here in Minnesota, as well as Pine and Mille Lacs counties.
Not getting younger.
And I am not getting any younger. No, that's very true. and I'm not sure anymore that I can say I skew the numbers younger anymore. I used to think that when I went to those things, but not necessarily anymore. Couple of things about that. First of all, in terms of does it matter? I'm going to say in a lot of areas, yes. Now, it kind of depends on where you're at, right? As we've talked about, where we have areas where you have a lot of storm chasers and you have those folks out there and they're reporting in and they're doing all the things with social media and all those kinds of things. The National Weather Service can glean an awful lot of information off of that, right?
Right.
You take an area where I am, and areas on the fringe or on the outside of Tornado Alley, and where you don't get a tremendous amount of storms, there aren't all those people out there. And in those cases, the National Weather Service is relying on their radar, which again, picture where I'm at, which is about halfway in between the two National Weather Service offices in Minnesota, Duluth and the Twin Cities. Each of their radars gets to us, but by the time it gets to us, it's pretty high. Sure. That beam is pretty high up. So they're not seeing everything, especially lower down at ground level. And so in areas like that, I think there's always going to be a need for eyes on the ground. So in terms of the does it matter thing, I would contend that yes, there's a lot of areas where it does. Right. And we are concerned. I am concerned in our area, because I will say my population around here is getting older than me, quite a bit older than me. And I have a hard time finding people who will go mobile to actually get out and see. They'll be spotting from their homes, but that doesn't do us as much good as somebody who actually gets out in the field. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, I wonder if, and I don't know how this works with local television, but I feel like a lot of people, like the local networks have their own like spotters out there now, that these people are calling in to the local media, and they get their spotlight, for a couple seconds on TV or whatever. And I just wonder if a lot of them are more going that route versus National Weather Service. And I don't know how they advertise anymore. If National Weather Service is getting out there and trying to get people going to schools and trying to get people to become observers, maybe colleges or whatever. But I mean, I just remember, Phil, my family actually were spotters maybe going back 20 years ago. And they were, maybe in 20s, 30s, and my mom was probably in her 40s or 50s. But I think they were like the youngest at the time. So,
sure.
I don't know if there really is a big change. Maybe a lot of people, as they get older, it becomes more interesting to them, or they have more time to do that. It could be an older generation that likes that. That's what I wonder.
Yeah, I think, Kim, you hit on a couple of things. Yes, I think the time piece is one of them. Yeah. I'm the coordinator for our area, but I've got a full-time job during the day. I don't always have the ability to get away to do that. And I think a lot of people are in that case. But you also brought up the marketing thing. And Dan Wallace, a friend of ours, a friend of the show, on the chat said that same thing about marketing. Is the National Weather Service marketing this enough and getting the word out about the need to the younger generation? And that might very well be part of it as well.
Well, so I think that brings up the point. Does the National Weather Service is there really a need for more storm spotters? Or, I do think this is a study waiting to happen, as far as at least surveying the age and from year to year where we're at, and are they getting older and not attracting newer? And Kim, I think you do bring up a point in at least my observation. Being older, that maybe doesn't mean they're decreasing. It just means they always attract an older population of people, tends to be who become storm spotters. They weren't before, but they are now. It doesn't mean it's a dying breed. It's just that's the age that they always tend to be coming in, and that could be the case. Right. But I think it's a really good study. But the advertising part, I have seen social media where certain WFO offices are advertising their classes, maybe on a Twitter post or Facebook post. But, I don't see a whole lot of advertising, which again makes me think, is there a true need? And especially when it comes to severe weather, certainly you see, as Kim, you talked about local TV channels, how they might benefit with their own spotters to say, hey, we got half an inch of snow here, over there we got inch and a quarter. It allows them to kind of see where the snow fell. And I think the National Weather Service gets that benefit there. My question is, from a severe side of things, do they really need someone to say, hey, I see a funnel cloud here, for them to issue a tornado warning? Or are they probably going to do it anyway and just say, hey, we actually did have a spotter that said they saw a funnel, or they're just saying it's radar indicated?
That was actually a big conversation, oddly enough, around here last year. We had a storm come through, and NWS issued, it must have been 8 or 9 tornado warnings, throughout the evening, and not one confirmed tornado. I believe that, taking a look at the radar and, seeing a hook echo, or, looking at that alone, I think we do need those storm spotters. I think we do still need that ground truth out there, because what you see out in Oklahoma, you don't typically see here. And to the point with National Weather Service advertising, they do. I see those Twitter posts around the area, but then you have the local news stations having their own, weather watchers program, or, they get everyone signed on to that, and they submit their weather photos, and they take that as gospel. So I think the more that the NWS advertises it, and the more they advertise it towards the younger generation, saying, hey, your report matters, why don't you do it with the NWS and get trained to do so, versus just saying, measuring with your ruler outside in the snow. Hey, we got 5 inches of snow, but the next neighborhood got 2 inches, just based on what.
That's a great idea, right? Yeah. Because I think, MJ, if you guys were looking for that, I think sometimes it's the way it is marketed. You got to go and talk to them. I think a natural group would be any of the local universities that have a meteorology program. Somebody actually goes to them and says, hey, we're looking for this. You guys are already interested in it. You get some hands-on experience going out there, and we'll teach you some more stuff of what we're looking for as well. Yeah. I think you're going to get a few more of those people.
Well, and I think that's, to be honest with you, I think that's partially done, Maz, only because I know they do a storm spotter class, I know, at Ohio State University, and their weather club up there is involved in that. They're heavily involved in the National Weather Service office in our area. And so I know they already do that, but one of your challenges there is it's still a small group of students, young students. Number one, they're already in weather anyway. So there's already an interest in weather. They probably would have been interested anyway. They now probably know more about weather than an average storm spotter is going to know anyway. So do you really need to train them? And also the fact of they're all on campus. So you've got spotters that are all in the same spot, right, that aren't probably going to help you out much, except maybe once summer comes and they maybe spread out at that point. But are they even in your WFO at that point too?
Right. And does anybody know if they've changed how they verify, for National Weather Service? Meaning, because radar is so much better now that maybe they don't feel the need to have eyes on the ground verifying it. So, I don't know if it's changed or not.
They will tell, again, if you ask the folks, that I deal with at the WFO, either in Duluth or in the Twin Cities, they will tell us that, and this came up before when you talked about, will they just issue a radar indicated tornado? And Ray, you said about all of them that they issued, none of them which produced a tornado. Right. They will tell us that they want to know, they want eyes on it to confirm that. And if they don't have those folks available, they say they will be more apt to issue the radar indicated storm. If they can have eyes on it, that helps them pinpoint with the radar that what it's actually seeing, and helps them understand that what they're seeing actually is. Again, we're on the fringe of the radar. And I know one of our folks on the YouTube chat talked about how, and I think this is true, that the National Weather Service, or people, when they see the warning come out and it says that it's a spotter indicated tornado, will take that to heart a little bit more than they will when it says it's a radar indicated storm. So you have those things going to it. And I'm going to throw one more thing in there quick. And that is, when Phil was talking about having very few people show up in Ohio, my question for you, and because I don't know how this works around the rest of the country. In our area, in the Twin Cities, the National Weather Service does a few trainings in the Twin Cities. They probably don't get real good participation at those either, because the Twin Cities has a separate organization called Metro Skywarn that's not affiliated with the National Weather Service, but they work with the National Weather Service as the main spotter organization in the Twin Cities. And they have all kinds of members, young and old. So I don't know if that exists other parts of the country.
We do. Yep, Cincinnati does have their own Skywarn amateur radio group and everything else. And truthfully, the spotter class is not something that you have to go to every year. I think the National Weather Service, at least in this area, talks about they'd like to see you go at least once every other year to keep to refresh or whatever.
Yeah.
It's truly not something that I think you'd probably even have to do that once you've gone to one. I think that's enough, truly.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is whether that's the case or not. There were some that were there that were amateur radio operators and part of the network that works with National Weather Service in Wilmington, the amateur radio network. So there were some that were there, but again, they were older. Now I will say this, Kim, you talked about technology, and I question maybe does that have something to do with it? Because there are things like we've talked about the MPing app, which through University of Oklahoma, and it's the ability. It's an app. Free app you put on your phone, and it knows your GPS location. All you have to do is say, "Hey, I'm seeing rain here." I would have to imagine it's really good with winter precipitation for their study to help determine, okay, in this particular area, what are the conditions on the ground? Are you getting grapple? Are you getting snow? Or is it still raining? Or is it still, because that's kind of the enigma, is knowing in the winter what kind of precipitation you're getting. But you can do those right there on your phone.
Yep.
And you don't really need to go to a spotter class for that. We're going to have in 2 weeks, we're going to have the president of Spotter Network is going to be on the show. And he's going to be talking about John Wetter, and he's actually up in Minnesota, Mark.
Okay.
He's going to, which is a website that you can go to and log in, and you actually have to go through a quick little spotter test, right, to get approved, because they don't want just Joe Schmo reporting crap on there. But you can actually report what you're seeing, and it takes your GPS location when you post your report. And I do know that that's also followed by at least some National Weather Service offices as far as a spot. So maybe there's just other opportunities now for that to happen as well.
Right.
That's spreading out the resources. And of course, technology tends to draw typically a younger crowd.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, Phil. I think that we do need to embrace a little bit, and the National Weather Service, for that matter, needs to embrace those different technologies a little bit more. And I also agree that things are spread thin. You have so many people that want to be the ones to get the videos and the photography and do the storm chasing, and they're not as, and they're going different places. So they're not in their home WFO area where they know that they're a trained spotter and that they know their spotter numbers and, things like that. I think one of the issues with the different technologies is exactly what you said, why Spotter Network has the little test. I think the National Weather Service is the same way. They don't want they don't know if they're getting a report from Joe Schmo that they don't know who it is. They've never been to a training that they know of. They've never been to anything. How much credence do they put in that? So it's reining that all in and figuring out how to coordinate all that probably makes it a little difficult.
Do you MJ, does Twin Cities or Duluth, do they still issue spotter numbers if
they
you attend?
They do.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Ray, have you been through any spotter classes?
I have years ago. I went through one.
Okay.
And here Mountain Holly does also. They release spotter numbers.
So our field office in Wilmington, Ohio, stopped doing numbers. I don't know how long it's been, but they stopped doing it, which to me would make sense to issue those, only because then when I make a spotter report, it can be a more legitimate report. Because I asked the question at our spotter class with the representative that was there from the National Weather Service, and I said, how much time are you spending reviewing reports for their legitimacy to make sure that, hey, was this, because they're probably getting lots of different reports to go, how much time and resources are they putting into going, all right, before we post this, hey, there's a funnel cloud. Is there really one there? And who is actually reporting this? And I said, why don't you do the numbers anymore? And they said it was a budgetary issue. Really? That it was a matter of they just didn't have the budget to send out numbers anymore. And I didn't get into it at that point, but I'm like, we probably wouldn't have to send out numbers. Can't you issue, just say, here's your number on site, and you have a handful of numbers you're going to a class with, and you record it later. But to me, that would make sense to allow someone to do it. But it also tells me, okay, resources aren't there, and maybe they're not putting more resources into spotters. And so is it really important? Now, again, I'm being the devil's advocate because I know spotters are important. And I know the more you have, the better data you're going to get and the better information you're going to get. But I guess are they viewed as being important? Still is my question.
So and I think a lot of it's really regional. It's how does the regional office treat it? I think there's some areas that really do put a lot of emphasis on it, and probably some like yours that don't as much.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, let us, all of our listeners, viewers, let us know what you guys think. Appreciate those of you on our chat that were chiming in. But if you're listening to us after the fact, send us something on Twitter, Facebook, just search Stormfront Freaks. You'll find us there, or send us an email at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com and just let us know what your thoughts are. And we'll cover those on our next show. So we're going to take our final break. Rest of you, go ahead and refill your drinks. When we come back, it's time to share our WX resources, and we'll see who's joining our Weather Fools.
All right.
All righty.
Awesome. Okay.
Good. Thanks, everybody.
Sure.
What, Ray, are you sticking around or are you heading out?
I can. What time is it? You know what? I think I might jump off.
All right.
Okay.
That's fair.
Good. So.
No. Not at all.
Then thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ray. That was
It was
awesome.
an honor being here.
Got a date with Barbie? Date with Barbie?
It's Snowbird 1.
Snowbird 1.
Okay, Snowbird 1.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
Ray.
you all very
Enjoyed
much.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Ray,
much.
Ray, I
Take
will
care.
I'll be in touch with you after the weekend just to share some links with you and stuff as well. But yeah, thank you so
Not
much.
a problem. Thank you for having me, Phil.
All right,
I
have a great night.
appreciate it. Take
Have
care.
a great night.
All right.
All righty. Maz, do you want to do Weather Fools and Weather Resources for us tonight? I'm sorry, WX Resources and Weather
See,
Fools.
that totally messed me
See,
up.
now he's
I know.
messed up. Now he's not
I
going to
know.
get it right.
Sure.
Okay. So, I'm just saying that because I assume you probably don't have either one.
Yikes.
You know,
Is he
so
all
I'll
right?
give you something to talk about, right? He muted himself.
He did, didn't he? Oh, that's too funny.
So,
I'm back.
oh, man, the truth hurts sometimes, doesn't it? No, really, I just thought it'd be good if you do both. So,
Sure.
all right. So we'll start with WX Resources. I have one.
Okay.
I do too.
All right.
Kim?
I don't, as you can figure.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't give MJ as much crap as I give Maz because he's almost as consistent.
Because
good
I
remarks.
told you I wasn't going to do that because I'm usually doing other shit during this time.
Who's got weather?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Who has WX Fools?
I have one.
WX Fools. I have a
Fools.
Weather Fool as well.
All right. We'll go Kim Phil.
Sure. Kim, can you send me an email of the links?
Yes.
I
Yes.
haven't done that just so I'm not having to look them
Yeah.
up. That helps.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah, you got it.
Cool. All right. So, and we're episode 47, by the way, Mass.
47. Got it.
47.
Oh, I just dropped my pen.
Oh, and then listener questions and responses. The biggest note I had, MJ, was just to cover our hairdoodle winner.
Yes, I've got that and a couple of others.
Some others good. All right.
So a long distance down to the floor there. It's like your storm spotters right there. Hey, was out spotting.
None of us are getting any younger, are we?
Got distracted and went to the mall.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Another time I've got some stories about some of the guys that spot for us. Holy cow.
Now we're
Oh, I
live,
bet.
probably.
Yeah,
Now we're
usernames.
live.
Another time.
oh my gosh. Okay.
Dang it, I
Alright.
dropped my pen again.
All right.
Oh, God.
Good
hold on.
luck. We might not see him again. All right,
Might
are we
not.
ready? Wait, I'm
Well,
Maz.
Maz, so
Maz
no.
is taking it over, so we got to wait till he's ready.
That's a big no. Not ready yet. It's only a problem if you forget your spotting. Okay.
All
right.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back. Time now for WX Resources. This is the place you can get all the real cool stuff related to weather. I think, Kim, you're going to start us off for tonight, aren't you?
I am. Okay.
Awesome.
We are going to talk a little bit about flooding. You know, we always show these videos of people trying to cross flooded roadways, and they get caught and they get in trouble and somebody has to rescue them. Well, with all the flooding that's going on in the Midwest, especially, I heard about this one. This is actually in Arkansas. And what we're showing is a picture of a school bus that is like tilted sideways, almost like it's halfway on the road, halfway off the road, but it's in flooded water. It's flooded, totally flooded. There were 17 students on board. They had to wait 2 hours to get rescued. And from what I can understand from the actual report on this, the bus driver drove through the flooded water and he couldn't see the road. We always say that you can, don't do it for one reason, that you don't know what's under the water. You don't know where the road is. This person drove into the water and then kind of went off the road. So the whole bus tilted and was stuck, and they had to get these kids off. The kids were hysterical for a little while, but they were all fine. Nobody was injured. But, once again, the parents were wondering, there were flood warnings out, flash flood warnings out. Why did this happen? One of these things again. So
no injuries, though,
that's
right?
No injuries. Thank goodness.
Bathroom problems, 2 hours.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, hopefully they didn't go back out there in that water. It looks nasty, but so that's my weather fool right there. Again, people, just think they can get through this, and it doesn't look very deep, but it's.
Hey,
He's
Kim.
laughing. What?
Kim, what are you drinking tonight?
Why? What's wrong? Are you not seeing something?
No, I messed up. I forgot we were starting with weather fools. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, no.
That's all right. Well, we'll skip over to weather fools first. That's fine. That works.
All right.
I'm like, why are you laughing? This is serious, and
No
you guys
idea.
are laughing.
No idea. My fault. Okay, Phil. What do you got for weather fools?
So weather fools. So why don't you explain what this is, Matt?
Oh,
what
sure.
weather
Thanks.
fools are?
Okay, so weather fools are people that may do some things they probably shouldn't do, but because it's weather related, they figure no one's watching, and of course, we are. So
like
made
a
the
bus
list.
driver, not turning around, don't drown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
Yes.
We all could have
All
done
that.
that one together, right? Turn around. Don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't
So
drown.
my weather fool. This is a bit of a stretch today, but I saw this on Twitter recently. Came from ABC News, and it's a surveillance video of some would-be burglars. And the only reason I'm going to qualify this as a weather fool is because as the video plays, you'll see maybe some snowflakes falling in the background. Otherwise, it has nothing
That
to
counts.
nothing to do with weather. It's just a fool. But it's two people, I don't know, men or women, you can't tell, but it's at night, surveillance video. And they look like they both have bricks in their hand, and they're about to throw a brick against either a window or a door. Again, you can't see that part, but one of them is back a little further, or the one in front throws it. The second one throws their brick and decks the other guy that was in front of him right in the head.
Awesome.
He knocked him out in the head. And as the video plays on, it shows them kind of looking around. Again, they approach, and the guy in the front cranks his, walks away, bam, and gets nailed by the guy in the back who throws his brick. And now watch, because he's out. He's out cold.
He is out.
The other guy's like, crap. And he's dragging him away. It's like the fire drag when you're dragging someone out of a burning building. He's dragging this guy out, and all the while you see some snowflakes.
You're right. I at the end I did see a couple of snowflakes.
Yeah.
Some snowflakes.
They
falling
just
in the
got drug
background,
off. That was awesome.
man.
So that's
Crazy.
borderline
brutal.
weather fool.
That was fun though.
That was fun.
Hey, let's kind of mix things up tonight and go to WX
There you go.
Resources.
That's
Do
good.
I dare go to Kim on this one?
She was excited about that weather fool. I can tell you that.
I was. I'm sorry about that, you guys.
Okay.
I always seem to mess y'all up. Okay, let's see
that's
here.
good.
Okay, this is a great website. This is FEMA.gov. And again, kind of going with the theme of the flooding that's going on. Actually, I just worked with a group of FEMA employees with Region 4 on Wednesday. So this made me think about them, and they've got such a great website. But for anybody that's in a natural disaster or just lives in a flood, plain, or lives near the ocean, or even Tornado Alley, anywhere, you should be aware of this website because they've got some great information on here. And if you click on navigation, and by the way, this is FEMA.gov, and you just scroll down, they have so much great stuff in here. They got stuff about climate change. They have stuff about dams, also disaster emergency communications. They have emergency management agencies, El Nino.
Fraud?
What's that?
Disaster fraud. Go back up a couple.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Disaster fraud. Yes.
Wow.
And,
that could
and
be a weather.
you could. Disaster recovery centers. This one I think would be really great to have and to know where this one's at, because you can actually find where a disaster recovery center is. And if your area's, had a natural disaster, you could go to this and type in your address, and then you could find out where they have these people deployed from FEMA that you can go there and get assistance. So this is just such a great website. And let's see, there was another one, El Nino. They've got information about El Nino in here, which I thought was really cool. Flood insurance.
Do with FEMA? Why is FEMA El Nino?
Well, because they keep an eye on the weather, because I was just working with these people the other day. And of course, they're all into weather because they have to deploy to all these places.
Sure.
People I just worked with were in Florida for 3 months. They deployed for 3 months. And so they have to be on top of the weather. They're actually pretty weather savvy. But if you click on the El Nino one, it explains what El Nino is. What's this? No, thanks.
Oh, you get to take a brief survey.
Yeah, exactly. You click on El Nino, it tells you about El Nino, and it connects the whole landslide thing in California during an El Nino with, the rains coming into the west, things like that.
Boy, so they're pretty blunt. Look at that. El Nino caused landslide.
Yeah, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. They're not
putting El Nino under the bus on that one.
Yeah, it's kind of a stretch a little bit, but in an indirect way, it's absolutely true. Okay, so anyway, so that is my weather resource. It's FEMA.gov, and you got to just love these people. They do they just are an incredible group of people.
It's funny when you were, Kim, talking about the first part of the bus.
Yeah.
I thought you were just using that to set up your WX resource, because I saw your FEMA tab, and I'm like, oh, she's just using that, as a good little setup to go to FEMA site. And I'm like, no, I guess that's her weather fool. Which is good.
Should we do that whole segment over? I feel
that was really good too, because they kind of, you did a good job of segging those two together, and the flooding and the FEMA. That was good. That was good.
Just one beer, huh?
That's it. Solid took.
Yeah.
All right, Phil.
All right, so my WX resource, I talked earlier about this spring storm itch I tend to have, and I'm actually I don't have something to show you, but
thank you.
But the interesting thing is ChaserCon, which is an annual event this time of year in February, was in Colorado, and they just recently had the 2018 ChaserCon. And it's actually, if you didn't get a chance to go, obviously, like I didn't get a chance to go out to Colorado last weekend, most all of the presentations are actually available on YouTube, and listen to some of the presentations and speakers they had. They had Dr. Greg Forbes, Kim was there, Tim Marshall, Dr. Josh Werman. They had many others, but all of these are available on YouTube. All you have to do is just search 2018 ChaserCon. And you'll find that it's all on there. So just great time if you've got some time to kill on the weekend and you want to watch some good stuff as you're prepping for your storm season. Good resource.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you. So in case you missed any of those links, or maybe you got yourself another beverage or something, this is episode 47 on stormfrontfreaks.com. check under the show notes area, and you can find out all the links and extra pieces of information to take you where you want to go. Should we do Weather Fools again?
One more time.
Let's do another round. All right. Let's go. Let's jump to any listener questions that we got. MJ.
Hey, first of all, we had a giveaway on our last show. We were giving away the Hairdoodle book by former Weather Channel meteorologist Heather Tesh, and we had a winner. Congratulations to Ash Bray, who won that book.
Awesome.
During our Women in Science contest. And then Ash tweeted to us, pretty excited that I won Heather's autographed book. I grew up watching her on the Weather Channel and always admired her work. So,
nice.
Congratulations to
Cool.
Ash.
Awesome.
Couple of other folks. Daryl, I believe, tweeted to us, just watched about half the video. Very cool. I'll be watching the rest later today. And then gave a shout out to Kim as well.
Aw,
So thank you, Daryl.
Nice.
Daryl.
Thanks for
Thanks,
stalking, Daryl.
And David Sharp sent us a message. Said, "Hi, I just wanted to say that I love your podcast. Listened since the very beginning, and I really enjoyed your last podcast with Jen Carfagno." So,
Awesome.
Wow, I'm still watching.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part.
that's
Probably.
right. Started at the beginning, still there. Still with
Come a
us.
long way, baby.
I know.
And we
Some kind of an award.
we got ourselves an iTunes review, which we love people to do.
Wait, is it good?
Well,
Good point.
Yes, here it is, 5 stars
Oh.
from LVSNE. Said, I learned something every week. Great guests, great discussions, and great resources. Thanks for putting this podcast together. So thank you very
Nice.
much for that.
Oh, that makes it all worth it, doesn't it,
It
you
does.
guys?
Wow.
That's nice.
Thanks, everybody. No, that's great. Awesome. So I think that about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. Thanks for listening and watching. Before I tell you who the next guest is, if you enjoy our show, please do us a favor. As MJ was talking about, leave a great review on your podcast app. And don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. It works just like a magazine or a newspaper subscription. All it does is it assures that the latest show is going to get delivered right to your inbox to listen the moment it gets released. So do that. Hey, special thanks to our guest, Ray Leichner. That was some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
On drones.
Fun.
I want to go get one now.
I did.
know, that'd
too.
be
They're
fun.
pricey.
But yeah,
Man.
I know if I had a grand that
Right.
laying around,
Yeah.
I'd go get a drone. Maybe I'll just go get one of those toy ones because obviously I'll need to practice.
At least start out with that one. Right.
Yeah, right.
Crashing in the lab.
Maybe we'll send, that'll be everybody's anniversary, show anniversary.
Wow.
We'll send you all a little, one of those, have you seen those little
The
tiny
little
ones?
ones.
The size of your fist?
Here's
Yeah.
your Phantom 4.
That's your Phantom Point 4.
Mhm.
Our next episode in 2 weeks, it begins National Weather Podcast Month. We'll be recording on March 8th with the president of Spotter Network, John Wetter, who talked about a little bit earlier, which has a great website for spotters and National Weather Service chasers, stuff like that. If you'd like to watch the recording live, do so at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Just check us out on our YouTube channel by searching Stormfront Freaks. So for MJ and Maz and Kim, I'm signaling the all clear. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Just the
All
weather
right.
resources again.
Hey guys, I forgot to tell you. Look what I have on.
Nice.
Ta-da. And I don't know if
Nice.
you knew this or not, but I don't know if you get Phil, if you guys, get notifications from the company you buy these from of how many you've sold. I bought everybody in my family one for Christmas and hats.
Oh, nice.
Really cool.
So they're
Did you get one for-
advertising
Did you get one for Daryl?
That's good.
for Daryl. He should get one actually.
I'll tell you the truth. So we go through, MJ and I think I've probably mentioned this before. We have a cousin up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
do too.
That's what he does. He's got
Oh, no,
he's got a
really?
business
Yeah.
that does screen printing and embroidery and
Yeah.
stuff. And sort of when we started this thing, we're just like, it'll be easy if you just got something we can put on the website. So here's what happened. So I just, because I occasionally, when I order something for people or whatever, I'll
Yeah.
ask them. I'm like, hey, has anybody bought anything? And it's always, don't think so. No, which is fine. But I just recently bought hats
Yeah.
for three of our big partners that we've had: Severe Studios, WeatherProShop.com, and Zoom Radar, and they've been partners of ours now a lot in numbers. So I thought, hey, let's get them a hat. We'll send them a hat. Thank you. And so I purchased these, and again I said, hey, this was just like a week or two ago. I'm like, has anybody bought it? No, nothing's been bought. That SOB.
I spent close to like $300. I'm not kidding.
Oh, we'll have to give him a bad time.
I have some feedback if you want to give feedback about the hats, because I bought some for my brothers, but they're kind of small on the top where they don't stand up real tall. I can't explain it.
Yeah, like, the one with the mesh back.
Yeah, the black
kind of
one.
Mesh.
I guess
or is it just the all black? Oh, it's
the all black one. It's the all black one.
I think Mads, you got one like that.
We're like the not the bill, but the part above it is it lays flat instead of up. So anyway, I don't know. And they liked it, but I could tell they kind of would rather have it up a little higher. I don't know.
Tell them it's to land drones.
That's it.
Yes.
Get a piece of cardboard. All I gotta do is get a piece of like thin cardboard and stick it in the front.
Oh, really?
I've got one of those, the trucker like hats.
Yeah.
That it's a mesh background.
Yeah.
And it does the same thing because it doesn't have a lot of support behind the front.
Got it.
It's just the fabric, and it tends to do the same thing. Kind of tends to lay flat.
Yeah.
You could always like any of those trucker hats if you want to get like a little thin piece of cardboard and. You could do that, but I appreciate it that at least maybe we should have some other options.
Yeah.
I just didn't know anybody would buy it. I just thought, shit, nobody wants it anyway. So that's cool.
Everybody loved it though.
We'll have to check with Jay.
Good, yeah. We will.
Yeah, I'm gonna say goodnight. I'm gonna say goodnight to all our viewers on YouTube. We're gonna
thank you for watching.
Night,
Thanks, everybody.
YouTubers.
We love you. See ya.
Night, everybody.